It's time to get activated, gamers, because you're listening to the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2023, featuring Dan and Bob Video Games.
If you have any problems with any of our lists, yell at Bob.
Oh no.
Chris Wolfhart.
Guaranteed to outlast AAA gaming.
And Dr. Agro.
Sure glad I spent this whole year knowing I'd be on this podcast.
This episode features outrageous categories such as
Most anticipated game. Most likely to be delayed. Biggest f***up, sponsored by Unity. And game none of us played.
So grab your Nuggies and Mountain Dew, gamers, sit back in your race car chair and get ready, because the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2023 Podstravaganza starts right now!
We're finally here. The end of the year has occurred, and we can now judge it as such. We've got everyone here. I'm your host, Dan Video Games. We've got Bob.
I'm scared.
We've got Chris Wolfhard.
I will make it to 2025.
And we've got Dr. Agro.
I don't have opinions. I just have facts.
We're opening up with possibly the strongest category to open any of these with. Most anticipated game, sponsored by Judas. You know, they got that nominee last year as like an actual most anticipated, but like that's because they showed us a trailer anytime near that, and then after that it was like, fiscally, we expect this game to come out. Never.
Yeah, put up or shut up. Like, you didn't even show anything, so you don't get to carry that award a second time. You might get it in 2025 if you show, like, no, really, it's actually almost done.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We're open to this coming back as a nominee. Or maybe we'll just be too strong. We'll have to sponsor again next year.
Yeah, assuming it actually does come out and Ken Levine didn't play Tears of the Kingdom and have to reboot the game again.
That is so likely. So instead of plasmids, you have the ability to make these small machines. Anyway, the nominees are... What year is it? Alone in the Dark. Avowed. Black Myth Wukong. Braid Anniversary Edition. Concord. Crazy Taxi. Deca Police. Dokev or Dokev, unclear. Did they show anything?
No, they didn't show up once this year.
Okay. The fire still burns bright in Bob's heart. Dragon Ball Sparking 0. Dragon's Dogma 2. DS2, which is, you know, the sequel to Death Stranding for anyone, or allegedly the sequel to Death Stranding for anyone who doesn't know.
Not Nintendo's new portable?
No. DS2? Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Golden Axe, Hades 2, Helldivers 2, Hyperlight Breaker, Jet Set Radio, Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Lost Soul Aside.
Again, forever.
Marathon, that made its... Metaphor ReFantasio. Metroid Prime 4. Momodora Moonlit Farewell. Pal World. Did they show anything of Pal World this year?
Yes, we did see Pal World this year.
It just keeps showing stuff that is from the earliest trailers.
Yeah, but more expanded each time.
But like polished and more expanded. Paper Mario The 1,000-Year Door Remastered. Path of Exile 2. Penny's Big Breakaway. Pepper Grinder. Persona 3 Reload. Pragmata. Prince of Persia The Lost Crown. Princess Peach Showtime. And then a giant peach erupts from the ground. Don't get too excited, listener. Rise of the Ronin. Saga Emerald Beyond. Sandland. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. Shinobi. Skull and Bones. Star Wars Outlaws. Did they announce that for 2024?
They did. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Right now.
Oh, right. I added that last night when someone went, yeah, that is 2024. I'm like, no way. We got to put it in there now. Stellar Blade, Stormgate, Streets of Rage, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, Tekken 8, The Plucky Squire, Unicorn Overlord, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, Visions of Mana, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, World of Warcraft, The War Within. Isn't this a Prince of Persia game? In Zenless Zone Zero. There are a lot of nominees there. How many is that? Yeah, that's like 57. That's like 57 nominees. You don't get half that slightly reduced. That is way too many votes. We're gonna get 8 votes. We're gonna go ahead and start with Bob, who has undoubtedly given his anticipation much consideration.
Yeah, God, even 8 votes is a lot to spread among these. So let me go. Let's see.
Now, keep in mind, you don't have to use all 8.
No.
No.
Okay.
Just like with any of these, you can just use some of them and then be like, and nobody deserves the others.
So remember, if you don't use all 8, that means every game you didn't vote for, you hate scornfully.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Oh,
if you're not excited about a thing, you hate it, and you hate anyone who likes it.
Jeez.
That's how opinions on the internet work.
All right, here we go. Shinobi.
I hear Shinobi might be back.
Right?
I hear that.
Rise of the Ronin.
I'm noticing a trend.
You know, I might as well finish that out. Where's that other ninja game?
Skull and Bones?
Yeah, that's it. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn.
Oh, okay, there we go. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. Well, there we go. There's 3 of your votes. You still got 5 more. Once again, you don't have to use them all.
Metaphor ReFantasio. That there's a good chance that'll be my game of the year.
Oh, yeah. No, that's really possible.
Momodora, Moonlit Farewell.
I just want to say now, if it helps you, you can still vote during other people's if you leave some votes behind. However, once we move on to the second wave, no, it's gone.
Right.
Aren't there more ninja games?
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you want to promote Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess?
I'm excited, but also worried. But
Okay.
yeah, show a vote on there.
Sure.
And on Dragon's Dogma, because Capcom. And I will save one, because I know I'm forgetting something.
Okay. We will move on now to Chris.
Man, 8's a lot.
8 is enough.
I'm going to put one on Avowed.
Hell yeah.
I am excited for Avowed because it will tell me whether or not I should look at Obsidian ever again. Like, this is they're on the cliff. Like, they're in the state of tennis where one more score makes them lose.
I look at Avowed and I see the biggest game, the best performing game Microsoft has shipped with anything resembling a AAA budget in forever. That is what my expectations of Avowed are.
I no. I think the hard opposite. I think that game's going to fall through the earth as hard as Immortals Vavium did.
No, that's literally impossible.
Oh, you're so wrong.
I feel like it's going to land in more of a Starfield where it fell through the earth, but some people talk about it.
So it's half phased into the ground, screaming as its upper body is sticking out of your floor.
It's going to be like if Starfield was not made by a developer anybody gave a shit about.
You don't think people care about Obsidian?
I think the average person does not know what the fuck Obsidian is.
But see, they get to, now that they own Bethesda, they get to say from the creators of Fallout New Vegas.
They'll never say that because Bethesda will get mad at them.
You don't think Microsoft marketing will do something that'll piss off Bethesda? I have some emails that actually contradict that.
Black Myth Wukong, because that's going to be the metric for whether or not every Chinese super game is real or not.
Yeah, this gets to be the first one out of the gate. Probably.
Right.
Allegedly.
Yeah, probably.
Nah, the Lost Soul Aside going to beat it.
I mean, maybe it should. Who knows? So that's 2.
Deca Police.
Hell yeah.
It's been so long since Level 5 has made a game that isn't in the Pokemon, Digimon, Metabots fighting Foodon's ass like we're trying to make a toyetic thing.
Right.
Because they had Little Battler, Dan Balsinki / Little Battlers, the thing that's literally just Gundam Build Fighters. They had Inazuma 11, they had Yokai Watch, and that's been forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they even stopped making Layton, which was like the last thing they did that wasn't that.
Yeah, between the toyetic property, which that is a really good way to describe exactly what they're doing, and the transmedia efforts that they're trying, which obviously are completely related. It is exciting to see them just do a game that differs a good bit from what they have been doing.
Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course.
Of course.
Metaphor Refantagio. I'm with Bob. Like, there's a high possibility that he's like, this is better than every Persona game combined.
Can't wait to only play that and be smug about it.
That's what you do.
So that's 6 votes so far. You get 2 more.
Visions of Mana.
Hell yeah.
On some level, like, I want to give something to all these to the other games that I assume will be disasters, like Skull and Bones, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. But I can sense it. You know, I'm not like Ichigo. I actually can sense spiritual pressure incredibly well. Those are all going to be dog shit in completely mundane, uninteresting ways.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't even be exciting to go through it like we'll have to on stream.
Yeah, so I can't. Instead, I'm going to give it to World of Warcraft, The War Within. Because I'm so excited to see what Metzen will do now that he's God again.
Well, that's Chris's 8 votes. We now move on to Dr. Aggro.
Tekken 8, right off the bat.
I'm so excited for 2 weeks from now.
So anticipatory. Unicorn Overlord.
Yes.
Cannot wait for the next Vanillaware. Oh, let's see here. Gonna go with Eoden Chronicle 100 Heroes. God, by the time I get to one end of this list, I've forgotten everything on the top half.
Right?
Yeah,
It's so big.
It's so big. It's Ridley sized.
Zenless Zone Zero. For how little we know about it, it's got the drip to overcome. I'm going to make a blind bet on Golden Axe.
I want to believe too. I'm there with you.
Right? You have to have that act of faith. Sandland's looking pretty good so far. So does Plucky Squire.
So you have 2 more, is that right?
One more.
One more. Okay.
Which I will give to Visions of Mana.
Hell yeah, you will. Okay. I'm going to go Avowed. I do think this is going to be the upset moment. This is like Baldur's Gate 3 for Xbox. This is the one that everyone discounted, and they will regret their words and deeds.
I forgot to vote for Avowed.
Would you
It's
like
so high up the list.
Would you like to shoot one of your children to move your vote?
Yeah, you know what? Fuck that Squire. I want to vote for Avowed.
I'm sorry. Plucky Squire stands.
If Obsidian can really nail, like, yeah, this is this is the Magic the Gathering RPG.
Yeah.
I think they have a shot.
I genuinely think people are not ready for how good that game's going to be. And now that statement ages like gold.
Because it can go either way.
It could go either way. The ambiguity is there.
I'm so excited for this 3 out of 10.
I'm so excited for how powerfully different this is than what you were expecting, a thing that I can predict totally. And if you say it was the other way, I will just lie.
It's very important that you take everything I say out of context so that it can be correct.
Because that's what's actually important, just so we're clear.
Yeah, that's true. It's not our feelings behind the things we express. It's the literal words bereft of context that matters. I'm going to give it to Deca Police. I was so excited when I saw that. I really hope it comes this year and it's really good. I'm not so sure. I'm going to do something I haven't heard anyone do so far, I don't think, and say why I'm not voting for something. DS2 should have me excited.
Yeah.
But they haven't shown me enough to have the Kojima magic.
Right, and it feels
The
like
only
we went a
magic
whole
is
year.
the title.
Yeah, we went basically a year without any new info, so I'm a little cold on it.
Uh-huh. Oh, man. This is... Okay, I'm going to move past this for a moment to just move to the stronger things. I don't know how nobody voted for Metroid Prime 4.
It's a mystery. I can honestly say, no matter how excited I am for it, I don't anticipate that game coming out.
I kind of anticipate it coming out, but I've never played a Metroid Prime game, so how can I anticipate it?
Oh. It's Switch 2 launch title. Come on, guys. We all see that coming.
I feel like it's going to be a Switch 2 announcement, but it will not make launch.
Yeah, it'll be launch a year. How about that?
It'll be launch window in the same way Ratchet and Clank was, so 9 months later.
Yeah, the same way God of War Ragnarok was.
Yeah, give it like, what,
2 whole years? Next one goes to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I'm really excited. I love Metroid Dread, and the fact that it can open the space for this sort of game is fantastic, and I love Prince of Persia. I'm glad they're doing stuff in that space, and I'm glad they're doing something very original and focused with that. Is so good. This is so much better than a new Prince of Persia project could have been. Both simultaneously, it could have been Assassin's Creed and that other thing they're making right now that does not look good. They hit an important milestone, they promise.
Yeah, I believe you.
Visions of Mana.
Yeah, there's no way you weren't voting for that.
There's no way. That is what I'm pushing. You know what else I'm pushing? Unicorn Overlord.
Hell yeah.
13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I underestimated it.
Right.
It snuck up on me, and I was like, I don't know the gameplay. I just like, what am I supposed to be? Is this good? I don't. Okay, I'll play for game. Oh no, this is one of my favorite games. And so when they go, yeah, we made an ogre battle game. I'm like, you're literally stealthing right now.
Yeah, they once again announced a game that I was like, that gameplay looks like it's going to suck because it's based on the worst ogre battle game.
So there's no way that game isn't going to blow my dick off. Like, it's just gone. It's like the scene in RoboCop. It's going to do that to all the game reviewers. So I got 2 more votes. There are so many things I
want to draw your attention to something.
Sure.
Something
Yeah,
that I should have voted for, and I saved my vote, luckily. To Penny's.
Oh, Penny's Big Breakaway. Yeah.
Yes. I am throwing a vote on
You know
there.
what? Yeah, me too. Absolutely. You're totally right. For people who don't know, that's the 3D platformer from the people who made Sonic Mania. It looks really freaking good.
It does.
And I love me some 3D platformers. Huge fan of that genre. I am so glad it's coming back. And I'm so glad that I actually have like one I haven't played at all yet, Hat in Time, that I get to go enjoy, just idly over the next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's a good time for games. But now I'm down to 1 vote, and a crazy person would put it on Crazy Taxi. But I keep hearing this voice inside me that goes, yeah. And I'm like, no. That we'll be lucky if that ships.
It all, not just next year.
All.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their new idea is. I'm scared there's something beneath the surface. I'm also excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, aside from that comment that I saw on Twitter from the people making it. It was like, they're going to be like so many Sephiroths on the world map. And I'm like, what? Excuse me. What? That's literally the only reluctance I have voting for that. I'm just checking real quick that there isn't something else. Pragmata officially is supposed to come out this year, right? 2024.
Yeah, 2024.
Bob, obviously we recorded this in 2024. What sort of fools would do some sort of end of the year thing 3 days early?
I feel like most people, honestly.
Most people do it way more than 3.
Right.
Okay, here's something I would vote for Tekken 8, but it's like 2 weeks from now. It feels weird to get highly anticipatory about something that is so close.
I mean, so is Prince of Persia.
But that's different. That is a Prince of Persia 2D game, the 8th, right?
Right.
For example, I'm excited for Cookout after the podcast. Here's the reverse problem, though, okay?
Okay.
I want to vote for Star Wars Outlaws.
It's hype. It is.
I know it's a different category, most likely to be delayed.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so obviously not going to come out this year. Unless I'm just totally wrong. We'll get to that. We'll get to that debate. But it almost kills the hype for me. Or I'm just like, am I?
I mean, we didn't even put Grand Theft Auto on this list because they announced it for so far out. I didn't think about it.
Exactly. Why would you engage your anticipatory glands?
I'm sure it's going to hit a lot of people's most anticipated lists because it's Grand Theft Auto. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'll absolutely vote for that next year.
Right.
Right now, it's so far away. I don't know. It's kind of like the fucking ass clownery that is Marathon being on this list. If Marathon goes good, it won't even come out in 2024. And it sounds like it's not going great. Fine, we're putting on the clown shoes. I'm voting for Star Wars Outlaws.
That did seem like the most correct a Ubisoft game has ever been, like in the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that also makes me scared. I'm like, what if that trailer, that cool gameplay segment they showed was just a lie? It's just Far Cry again.
Okay, let's go ahead and sort these based on how many votes they each got. And then move on to round 2. Okay. Reading this down from most anticipated to seemingly least anticipated based on votes. And a lot of these are ties, obviously. Avowed, Visions of Mana, Deca Police, Dragon's Dogma 2, Metaphor ReFantazio, Penny's Big Breakaway, Unicorn Overlord, Black Myth Wukong Eiyuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Golden Axe, Kiritsugambi, Path of the Goddess, Metroid Prime 4, Movadora, Moonlit Farewell, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Rise of the Ronin, Sandland, Shadow of the Ninja Reborn, Shinobi, Star Wars Outlaws, Tekken 8, World of Warcraft, The War Within, Zenless, Zone Zero. I feel like we should have 4 votes. I wrote 3 before, but now seeing the size of this list, I'm like, I'm not sure 3 is going to work out right. We'll do 4. Okay. Bob.
Metaphor.
Uh-huh.
ReFantazio, of course.
You mean Avowed, right? Because that's what I just typed in on accident.
In fact, no, I don't.
I tried.
Oh, man, we're down to 4. This is way harder. Penny's Big Breakaway.
Got 2 more.
I know. This is hard.
This is when we're really getting into the Game of the Year energy of Game of the Year. People can start rallying for him to vote for things. Alliances can be born.
Bob, I need you to go back and vote for Flintlock, Siege of Dawn.
Yeah, I was surprised when you didn't vote for that. I was like, I put this on here because Edgar's going to vote for it, and we'll all clap.
I don't know what happened.
I almost voted for it. But I'm like, but it's just going to be a 7 out of 10. I'm going to play on Game Pass because it was in the Game Pass section of a Microsoft show.
But have you ever been at work and just been thinking about that plain cheese sandwich you're going to eat when you get home?
Yes,
it seems like it's going to be so good.
Get it. Sometimes you don't need a cacophony of flavors. Sometimes you need salt.
Yeah.
You need salt in the perfect form factor, and that's what Flintlock might be.
Maybe.
I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna do Golden Axe.
Oh my god!
The dream is alive.
It's gotta be good, right?
Well, you got one more, Bob.
Uh-huh.
Is it Tekken 8?
No, it's not Tekken 8.
Ah, jeez.
I'm gonna keep pulling for Rise of the Ronin.
Ah, man, I thought he was going to say Avowed.
I almost did Shinobi.
You know, it's not too late. You can vote for it, Avowed.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I'll let you guys
Thanks.
all vote for it, and that can be our most anticipated game, but I will not.
Bob, spoilers! You mean you think it's most anticipated game? You don't actually know.
Everyone's just like, I really want to see that neon-colored bear.
I do. Yeah, hell yeah. Somebody's built an industrial chemical on that bear, and now it's a D&D creature. Okay, we're going to go next to Dr. Aggro.
I want to be very clear about this.
Okay.
I'm not voting for Avowed because Bob said I was gonna. But I am voting for Avowed.
Oh, okay, cool.
Unicorn Overlord.
Hell yeah. 2 more.
For Unicorn
I put all 3 votes on Unicorn Overlord.
I'm betting it all on black. I am... You know what? I am also going to vote for Golden Axe. I am starting to believe. This is the long shot call. The rest of those games are going to suck. Golden Axe is going to blow your dick off.
I feel like there's a good chance it's literally the opposite.
Well, here's the funny thing about Golden Axe. You could easily make the best Golden Axe.
I mean, Golden Axe 2 is really good.
It is really good, but
Yeah, you could definitely definitely do that.
you don't even need to make Dragon's Crown to make the best Golden Axe.
No.
It's Golden Axe, not Streets of Rage. That's much harder.
I know. That's why I'm like, there's no way I'm voting for that Streets of Rage. 4 is right over there.
Right.
And even if it wasn't, 2 is right over there.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not going to put my last vote on Tekken 8. And I want to be clear. It's not because of any of that dumb bullshit you guys said.
Oh.
It's because I remembered that Eddie Gordo's not in it at launch.
Aggro can't play it till girlfriend mode is in.
Oh, fuck you guys. He's a B tier character. Learn to block. I'm going to vote for Eiyuden Chronicle again.
You're really regretting voting for Tekken 8 instead of Flintlock in that first round, aren't you?
No.
Okay.
What's done is done.
It's okay. You can be anticipating the DLC.
That's desperate. Okay, I guess I'll go next, so that way we can shake up the turn order a little bit. 4 votes. This is really hard.
It is.
I can tell you Star Wars isn't getting one. Sorry, Star Wars. I'm doing Avowed. This is it. This is the moment. This is the watershed moment for Xbox. They didn't even need Baldur's Gate, is what you'll learn.
Man, you're putting so much faith in a company you've never played a game from.
It's going to launch and not even boot. You'll hit an enemy and they'll fall through the earth.
Just so our listeners know.
It is an Obsidian game. That is kind of how those go.
Just so the listeners know, none of what I'm saying is disingenuous. This is the most excited I am for a game at Xbox, and it's not even close.
That's because it's the only one they have that seems real and like it could come out not massively compromised.
It's a focused vision Avowed. Metroid Prime 4, I believe. I only have 2 more votes. Visions of Mana, of course.
Yeah.
I only have 1 more vote. Okay. So I've got a few here that should be voting for. Deca Police is one of them. Honestly, if I had more votes, it would go to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I'm excited aside from that one statement. And I'm also really excited for Unicorn Overlord. Penny's Big Breakaway, Deca Police, Unicorn Overlord. Oh my god. How do I choose between these?
By making the obviously correct choice.
Oh, which do you think is the obviously correct choice?
I don't know. Do you think it could be fucking Vanillaware making a tactics game?
Okay,
I don't know.
just to be clear, my vote isn't because he just said that. It's because it was the way I was leaning before he said that, okay? I just want to get that out there, that expecting Penny's Big Breakaway to be a Vanillaware game is unreal. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to vote for the Vanillaware game. Okay, that moves us to Chris.
Gotta give it to Black Myth Wukong again. Like, that's so much is riding on that game. There are so many other games that I will pass judgment on based on how that game goes. Decapolice. Metaphor Refantagio?
That's exactly how Jeff is going to say it, like tonally and everything at the Game Awards next year.
And Visions of Mana.
Hell yes. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this, we're going to sort it by this, and then I think we're going to start debating. Because a round of 2 votes will only result in a highly similar set. I'm willing to hear the argument, though, if you guys think that'll go better than I think it will.
We might even just take it all down to the ones that got 2 votes because we have enough of those.
Oh, yeah. That's what sorting will do anyway.
Right.
It'll just put those at the top, and then we'll go, well, obviously.
Yeah, I think that'll refresh the voting.
Okay. Here. Well, fun fact, my program I use on the side from Google Sheets here actually alphabetizes this when it also sorts by numerical value. So currently we're coming up Avowed in first place. But let me look at this real quick. We've got 2 votes for Avowed, Golden Axe, Metaphor Refantagio, Unicorn Overlord, Visions of Mana, and then everything else falls beneath the surface. Now then, we're opening the floor to one specific move. Getting things above that line. If you would like to debate a thing above that threshold, if you think it should get to this next round, this next segment, where we really start sorting this, do so now. And I'm going to go ahead and clarify. Those that would be eligible had to get a vote last time. So that's Black Myth Wukong, Decapolice, Eiyuden Chronicle, Metroid Prime 4, Penny's Big Breakaway, and Rise of the Ronin. If you didn't care enough to give it one of your 4 votes a moment ago, that shit's gone.
I feel like if I'm being honest, even though I personally have no interest in playing it, Chris is right that so much of the future hinges on how Black Myth Wukong goes.
I thought he was going to say Decapolice. Okay.
Then it should probably be at least in this vote.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear that.
I agree with that. You're heard, aggro. Okay. Well, then that gives us 6 finalists. Does anyone have any others they want to vote for? Like to bring up?
Yeah, I feel like I care a lot about like Penny's Big Breakaway and even Decapolice, but we've already done enough to figure out no, they aren't going to be winning.
I think we should bring that up.
Penny's Big Breakaway?
Yes.
All right.
I think to me that belongs up there. So since you said it out loud, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Here's what I say we do to really suss out an order.
Okay.
We still get 3 votes. Because now that we have a limited subset and 3 votes, we should see enough overlap, theoretically, to get some sort of order out of this. Is everyone good with that?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
So to recap it for the audience, this final set is in not alphabetical order because I haven't done that yet. Avowed, Golden Axe, Metaphor, Refantagio, Unicorn Overlord, Visions of Mana, Black Myth Wukong, and Penny's Big Breakaway. You get 3 votes. We're starting with Dr. Aggro.
Avowed.
Why are you laughing, Bob? Why is that? What's up,
Shut
man?
up, Bob. Let democracy work. Unicorn Overlord.
Wait a second. Where's Judas?
It sponsored the segment.
Yeah. How can we be so anticipated for something that's not coming out till 2025?
6.
Did they change it to 6?
Look, it turns out Judas was with us all along.
I don't think they actually have a date, but I'm just saying 26.
No, they said 2025.
Okay.
Yeah, that weird fiscal really said that. So, first vote's Avowed.
Unicorn Overlord.
Okay, you have one more.
Here at the other end of this crucible, I have found that I have looked inward and realized that at a gut check, I'm going to have to vote for Metaphor Refantagio.
Wow. Okay. Now we're moving to Chris.
Metaphor Refantagio. Visions of Mana. I don't talk about this a lot, but I really, really like 3D platformers, and I'm so upset that that genre is such a cesspool most of the time.
Yeah, if it even exists.
But Black Sun Wukong, like, Black Myth, there's like 8 games exactly like it announced. And they all look same levels of not being real. So I'm so excited to find out, should I pay attention to any of those or just delete them all from my mind? So Wukong.
Okay. I already went last once, so I will vote now. Visions of Mana, of course. Avowed. What's it? I don't understand what's so funny. And I'm gonna do something completely quirky and insane. I'm voting for Penny's Big Breakaway instead of Unicorn Overlord, because Unicorn Overlord either is going to be the ogre battle game to make me change my mind, or an ogre battle game. So we're throwing that third vote at Penny's Big Breakaway. So that was Visions of Mana, Avowed, and Penny's Big Breakaway, making Golden Axe the only game in this list without a vote. Currently, Penny's Big Breakaway, Unicorn Overlord, and Black Myth Wukong only have 1 vote each. And Avowed, Metaphor, and Visions of Mana have 2 votes each. Bob.
Metaphor Refantasio. You know, I'm going to vote for Visions of Mana. I haven't voted for it yet, but I am very excited for that.
Oh, cool. You've saved me a little bit of screaming.
And I will put my last one on...
Do it, Bob. Vote for Avowed.
Do it, Bob! Vote for
You have the
Avowed!
chance to do the funniest thing ever.
Vote for a game in a genre you hate maybe more than any other genre. It's an Xbox exclusive.
I was like, wait a second. Avowed is Sokoban?
I think I enjoy Sokoban more.
Yeah, I just imagine Bob I can just imagine Bob holding a controller, running up to a bear or whatever in Skyrim, mashing the button to see swings. It feels terrible. There's no actual skill or mechanics to it all, and then he just sets the controller down and leaves the room.
The bear does like an outrageous scripted animation, like it's the Scott Pilgrim movie, like Ninja DDR thing, and the bear just decapitates you. I was like, I'm done. What's the third vote going to, man?
Penny's Big Breakaway.
Hell yeah! Oh wait, now that's tied with Avowed. Has everyone gone?
Yeah.
This is troubling. I'm sensing a disturbance in the goatee. Okay. Reading it based on number of votes and alphabetical sorting after that. This is Metaphor Refantasio, Visions of Mana, Avowed, Penny's Big Breakaway, Black Myth Wukong, Unicorn Overlord, and Golden Axe got 0 votes. Get out of here. We don't want to hear from you anymore.
The dream is dead.
I feel like we should probably kill Wukong and Unicorn Overlord also. I don't think either of those are going to get argued up to the top.
I am absolutely for killing Black Myth Wukong. I think that's just gone. I could go either way on Unicorn Overlord. How do other people feel?
I also feel like it's not up there.
Can we put that one as tied for a runner-up? Or at very least in the runner-up mentions?
Yeah.
That helps me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then really we're down to debating Metaphor Refantasio, Visions of Mana, Avowed, and Penny's Big Breakaway for most anticipated game. Let me tell you about Visions of Mana. This is the first Mana game they have put their back into since Legend of Mana on the PS1.
That's true, but at the same time, Metaphor Refantasio is the first game that they were like, we should make the main character talk.
Oh, is that a thing?
It's also the first one they have. It's the first new universe they've made ever. Like, this isn't the SMT game at all. This isn't more
This is
Persona.
actually a new, completely detached IP.
Yeah, they're just going full on making something brand new. So that's really hype.
If you'll give me one moment, I have...
Also, it's from the directors and developers who are known for making really good stuff. I really don't know who's making Visions of Mana.
They didn't outsource any of them as far as I know. Like, they didn't outsource the remakes. Maybe they outsourced the Secret of Mana remake. But I would assume this is just made by the Trials team, but with a budget.
Probably.
a really magical thing to do, giving them money.
What a vision.
Yeah, the producer is the person who produced all the last bunch. Yeah, it's all like people with big history in Mana.
Okay.
Well, Visions of Mana seems to be a 60 frames per second game. How many frames are in Metaphor?
It's also 60.
Is it?
There's some trailers there's 30 and some there's 60, so I'm assuming 60.
I was going to say, like,
Yeah, I'm
the
assuming
Persona people
it's
normally lock
cross-gen.
30. Because Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Persona 5 were both 30.
Did the Royal fix that? Maybe not. But yeah, they even early development stuff was supposed to be 60 for Persona 5, but then it was like, wait, we're a PS3 game.
Why did we do this?
Apparently the PS5 version of Royal runs at 60.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, nobody told me that.
Right.
Maybe I would have played it from wrong. How are the load times? You know what's weird? Forza has some meaty load times.
Oh, really?
Been a while since I dealt with that. It's not too bad. You know, it's still...
That's so weird, though.
It's within the threshold of modern gen.
Uh-huh.
But it's not like stellar like GT7 or most PS5 games I play.
Mm-hmm.
It's real weird. Anyway, that has no relevance. So aggro.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you put above the other?
See, here's the weird thing about this list for me.
Okay.
Refantasio and Visions of Mana are the same in my head. They are the same amount of hype because I didn't play the other ones of those, but they both look great. I want to put Avowed into my fucking veins. Like, even if Avowed is meh, I'm going to get so much joy out of it.
Here's how the list goes for me, okay? In my head, Avowed takes second place. Visions of Mana takes first, and Metaphor takes third. I think that's justice.
Yeah, I'm Metaphor Visions Avowed.
So the list to you is already correct.
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah, I could deal with that list.
Yeah, as exciting as Penny's Big Breakaway is, it's not going to be as exciting as Xbox's Big Breakaway from their losing streak when they ship 100 million consoles. Because Avowed is the best Western RPG ever goddamn made.
It's going to be like, God, what was their space one they did?
Starfield?
No, the
The
one-
Outer Worlds.
Oh, you're
The Outer
talking
Worlds, yes.
The Outer Worlds.
specifically
Yeah,
Obsidian.
I assume
okay.
it will. I assume it. I think. In fact, I think they've literally said like it's going to be on a scale of the Outer Worlds. So it's like the Obsidian's Elder Scrolls, but scaled to the Outer Worlds, pretty much.
I wish I had played The Outer Worlds to get a really fine sense of that, but I've heard enough from people to kind of get it. But yeah, I think this is it. I think we ended up there because I'm not going to be able to get Visions of Mana higher, apparently. If it weren't in a year where they didn't announce a new full budget Visions of Mana game,
Uh-huh.
then I would have been there with Metaphor. That would have 4 votes right now.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but they didn't. Like, if they had showed something in that Visions of Mana trailer that I could like really, really do the soy point at. Like, if they had been like, look, here's the Jumi from Legend of Mana, and I could be like, oh, that's a thing from Legend of Mana.
They had a fucking Flammy in the trailer. They had the cute
that's
dragon.
just a general Mana thing.
But it's so cute.
Not specifically from.
You need lore soy jacking.
Yes, I'm sorry. Only Legend of Mana got my parents back together. So
yeah. So since I'm not going to be able to get that higher, I guess I'll settle for the list as it currently is. And it sounds like everyone else is good with that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bob's like, Penny's Big Breakaway should be above Avowed.
No, I understand. You guys have gone insane for Avowed, which is fine. This is way better than the last two is Judas. At least Avowed is a real video game that'll launch. I really don't know about Judas.
I can't believe Judas was last year and it's not even nominated this year. What the fuck?
It's sponsoring the category.
Well, I do feel bad about pennies. Because, 3D platformers are a moral good and we need more of them. But I'm sorry, I have a problem. I have a disease. And the only cure is more Western RPG schlock.
Okay, well, that makes most anticipated game for 2024, Metaphor ReFantasio. Second place, Visions of Mana. Third place, Avowed, and runner-up, Petty's Big Breakaway, and also Unicorn Overlord. I think this is as correct a list as you could get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that Avowed is at least good enough that we don't come off like insane when that game actually comes out.
Well, here's the thing.
Like we don't like we're not retroactively like people who were really excited for Morbius.
Those people exist?
Oh yeah.
There is fundamentally a difference here. Even if Avowed turns out to be shit, we were not wrong to believe.
Yeah. Whereas Morbius is made by Sony Pictures. Okay, well, now it's time to move on to the next category. Most likely to be delayed. The nominees are Alone in the Dark, Ark 2, Black Myth Wukong, Dead Island 2. Wait a minute. I played that game.
I don't believe that. I feel like you should stop spreading this kind of vile Dead Island 2 propaganda.
Can we get a community note on this segment?
Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, Metaphor ReFantasio, Pow World, Pragmata, Skull and Bones, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, Star Wars Outlaws, Stellar Blade, Stormgate, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Tekken 8, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, Visions of Mana, and Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2. That appears to be about 11 entries. No, that's more than that. No, that is 20-ish. Okay, so you get 6 votes. That's so few votes compared to how many nominees. You know what? I'll go ahead and vote first. I'm not going to vote for Dead Island 2 because I played that this year, Aggro.
I need you to be brave enough to wake up to the truth, Dan.
Does anyone know if Stormgate has a date?
Yeah, I think it's allegedly this year or 2024, but I don't know. It might be one of those things like we're planning to launch early access this year.
I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, I knew they had an early access thing. I'm not sure. I'm going to vote for Metaphor ReFantasio. I think a Persona game getting delayed is the least surprising thing in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote Star Wars Outlaws. I actually went out of my way to add this to this category last night because, oh boy, 2024. Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? I don't believe that. I would love to be wrong. Actually, would I love to be wrong? Won't that affect the game? This is actually the boldest this vote has ever been. I'm going to say Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
The game that comes out at the end of the month.
Is it the end of January? I thought it was February.
It is February 2nd. It is February 2nd.
If you pre-order, you get access to it in January.
So yeah, it might be past the gold line.
I'm still voting for it. You know what?
Fair.
That's fair.
Oh wait, no, Skull and Bones is still down there. 1 second, never mind. Skull and Bones and Pragmata. I feel like
Pragmata delays will continue until morale improves.
Yes, I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, we still don't know what that game is, so I don't believe it's coming out within the next 12 months.
Dragon's Dogma 2, what's the date on that?
March 22nd.
Black Myth Wukong, is that just 2024?
No, it has a date. August. They actually gave a date, so...
I'm voting for it. August is the perfect month to get delayed 2 months.
Yes.
I'm also going to vote for Dragon's Dogma. That's too fiscal year-y. You know?
Yeah.
March 22nd. Sure. Yeah. Was that your artistic decision to release it at the end of your fiscal year?
Yeah. It and Rise of the Ronin both need to do the coin flip, figure out who's going to move.
Now, Dan.
Uh-huh.
I understand you put a lot of thought into all these choices.
Uh-huh.
Hellblade 2's right there. I don't like it seems almost genetically engineered to be delayed.
No, this is the other Microsoft big win.
Like, some Microsoft executive will walk in and actually look at the game and be like, wait, why is it a completely linear thing with limited combat and some puzzles like the first one? We thought this was going to be God of War Ragnarok. Delay it 3 years.
I don't. It's really hard to pull a vote away from anything I already voted for, though. Like, if you ask me, hey, Dan, which is more likely to get delayed, Hellblade 2 or Star Wars Outlaws, I'm just going to laugh you out of the room. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is less likely to get delayed
Skull and
than
Bones is
Hellblade.
43 days away. It's like it's in the absolute worst phantom zone where it could be delayed between the time of us recording this and it releasing.
That's true. That's the true terror of Game of the Year.
So let Skull and Bones ride, because it'll be really funny if that happens.
You know what? I'm just going to mull over this and decide whether or not I buy into it as we go. Okay, next up, Aggro.
Dan, I would like to thank you for giving me this platform to engage in the free and open marketplace of ideas without being censored by the groupthink of the woke mob. Wake up, do your own research. Dead Island 2 did not come out. That was a Black Flag psyop.
No.
Nobody played it.
I did.
Nobody has ever talked about it.
I did.
Dan and Bob are crisis actors claiming they played it.
This entire hoax was a tax dodge. It's still out there being made, and it's going to get pushed forever while they use any investment money they're still pulling in to buy illegal pizzas or whatever.
On 2 different layers, this is why democracy is problematic. Ugh. Okay, that's 1 vote for Dead Island 2.
I'm also going to vote for Skull and Bones.
Yeah!
Because I really, really want to see that studio get nationalized by Singapore.
That would be so hilarious.
I'm going to place this dartboard on the ground and sort of drop a dart directly on it from a foot up. Arc 2, all they say now is end of 2024, and yeah, I'll believe that if you put it in the middle of a bridge you sold me. Yeah, I really feel like Star Wars Outlaws is getting pushed. Like, I couldn't even, like, point at a logical reason. Just, we all saw that trailer. We felt the timing. It didn't sit right. That's going away.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I continue to believe in a world where Final Fantasy VII fans only get the first part of that remake and then just be mad forever.
I feel like a lot of Aggro's votes are a little based in occultism a little bit.
Look, all forms of prognostication are forbidden by the Book of Deuteronomy, so everything we're doing here is sinful magic. And I don't want to do it, but I mean, Pragmata. We haven't seen it yet. It's not real. Like, it's probably real, but it's not real.
Yeah, there's a real, not too many nominees in this category can go, we had our devs come out and say a core technology of the game wasn't working in their engine until this year. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to Bob.
Man, there's a lot of things that'll probably be delayed on here. There really are.
More than we have votes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think they would really delay Vampire the Masquerade 2 again?
The game that just started development 5 weeks ago or something?
No, they said it started development like two years-ish ago, and look, it's being made by like 4 people inside a broom closet somewhere because it's going to be halfway a visual novel, so that'll probably come out.
But yeah, I will vote for Arc 2. We haven't really seen anything substantial in this game since CG. God, that actor. Oh my God.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Jason Statham.
I'm like, Ving Rhames? No, wait.
I'm tired of you slipping fake celebrities that sound like other celebrities into my head, Aggro. You've ruined me. I can't remember the name of the guy who plays BoJack Horseman because that other actor keeps popping into my head now.
Skull and Bones. This should have sponsored the segment. We all know it's true,
It is like the patron saint,
right?
It's like the elemental of delays.
Alone in the Dark's already been delayed twice. I'm going to count on a third time happening.
Now, Bob, remember that historical data does not prove perfect prediction.
Helldivers 2.
So don't use it at all.
God, yeah, there's so many of these that are like, yeah, it's going to be delayed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's literally like I could have voted for almost everything.
Right?
There's very few things I wouldn't vote for. Like, I wouldn't vote for Visions of Mana and Tekken 8 or Stormgate because that's going to enter early access and thus defy the definition.
So, Bob, rather than just voting for something that everyone already knows is going to be delayed, why don't you use that vote for good to raise awareness about a controversial topic
of a game I played already, Aggro.
that the mass media doesn't want you to believe is going to get delayed?
Bob,
Yeah.
in 2019, I successfully convinced you that Final Fantasy VII Remake would not be delayed because it was only 8 weeks away, and then it got delayed. We are in the exact same situation again. I'm going to tell you it's probably going to be delayed.
No, I also was thinking that was honestly the top of my mind. That and Space Marine 2, because that's not coming out next year. Are you crazy?
I think it could come out next year.
Maybe.
It already got delayed a full fucking year.
Right?
Well, Bob, here's the great thing. By my count, you have 2 more votes.
Oh, right. I have
You have
6.
6. So you could vote for the 2 you just said.
It's true. I think I'll do that. I will make it easy. I will do that.
Warhammer and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Every time an FF7 fan loses faith, that game becomes less real.
What the fuck?
I mean,
Aggro, are you a Kingdom Hearts villain?
Aggro, if you haven't played Alan Wake 1 and 2 yet, I need you to go do that.
Yeah, you do need to play Alan Wake 2. I know it's spooky, but you really need to. It's what you will be struck by a terror boner the entire game. Okay, well, now we're going to Chris for his 6 votes.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh my god, I'm the only one who didn't vote for it, and I thought of it.
yeah, I'm like, it's a shoo-in. Like, every big Square Enix title gets a little delay. It's not going to be a big delay. It'll be like
it's going to
a
be
month.
till like April.
Yeah. Man, should I just be like that one?
Hellblade 2.
Sir, it's called Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, thank you.
I'm actually not going to vote for Skull and Bones. I actually think Ubisoft has gotten to the point where they're just going to ship a minigame compilation and say that's a game.
I mean, that's what they keep showing.
It's weird. I didn't expect Skull and Bones to feature a rhythm game segment with Uptown Funk.
You're gonna load Skull and Bones. Your pirate's gonna be strapped to a giant wheel, and it's gonna spin. And whichever one you land on, you have to play the minigame.
You just unroll the map and it loads up Jackbox in a small window.
I hate when I have to throw tomatoes at the British people. That's my least favorite Skull and Bones game. Arc 2, got it.
Arc 2 for sure. That game's not. They got way too high on their own supply and spent way too much fucking money, and that game might not even come out now.
I agree.
Like, they got way too wrapped up in, we're gonna have Vin Diesel and a Netflix show, and you shouldn't have done all that, my man.
And fully remake the first game.
That came later because they needed money, I'm pretty sure. Star Wars Outlaws.
Hell yeah. 2 more.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is such a hard one because it's like, yes, it's right at the end of the fiscal year, ideal to be delayed. But Capcom usually has their shit together enough that doesn't happen to them.
Right. But they also usually don't ship in that exact window. Normally it's February, I think, like with Monster Hunter World and other things. In fact, that may have been January.
Yeah, Monster Hunter's usually January. Resident Evil, when it ships that early, is also usually January.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 2 Remake.
I feel like 3 remake though shipped around then.
Yeah, 2 Remake was January. Let me check 3 real quick. 3 Remake was April.
Okay. Was that after a slight delay from March?
That's a really great question, Bob.
I'm gonna put Dragon's Dogma 2. I bet it will be delayed. It will fail compliance and get a 6-week delay.
Okay. One more vote.
Pragmata.
You damn right.
We don't know anything about that game. There's no way it's hitting 2024.
Okay. I'm going to take just the ones that have votes by Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. So, round 2 sorted by most votes to least, and there are a lot of ties. Arc 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Pragmata, Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, and those are the ones tied for 3 votes.
Maybe we just narrowed down to that already.
You really should, but I'm going to read the rest. Dragon's Dogma 2 has 2 votes. Alone in the Dark, Black Myth Wukong, Dead Island 2, Helldivers 2, Metaphor Re, Fantasio, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 all have 1 vote. So I'm going to say we delete all of those. Unless anyone wants to argue anything up. I don't think it's going to...
No, that's fine.
I'd like to take this moment to speak truth to power.
For once, I'm actually going to censor you. So I'm deleting those, and we'll go ahead and I honestly don't... I don't know if Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to hold its own in this group because it only got 2 votes, but I'll leave it just in case. Gentlemen, we get 3 votes each. Let's start with Bob.
Star Wars. Arc.
One more.
That is when it gets iffy.
Uh-huh.
Don't be on the wrong side of history twice, Bob. Although I'm also encouraging you and was encouraging you last time also, so maybe you should not listen to me.
Right. I feel like Pragmata is just going to be delayed. Like, we can't affect it.
But does that... Did they imply it would come out in 2024, or they just wouldn't show us anything until then?
No, I'm pretty sure they said 2024 on a piece of paper, and not even, we will show you more then. Because they struck out the original release date of 2023.
They apparently said delayed indefinitely, and not even committing to 2024.
I feel like that trailer lied to me, or maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah, maybe they did another trailer that after that one that was crossed out 2024, and then it was delayed indefinitely.
It's probably been long enough where I'm just misremembering. Let me see what the 2023 one... Well, the 2023 one's the one that's like, we got visuals on the screen, and that was 6 months ago, you know?
Right.
It does not say 2024 in that trailer. It says 2022 crossed out, 2023 crossed out, question mark.
Okay, so we really don't know when Pragmata's coming out, so it's questionable whether or not it's eligible for this, because at any date announced now isn't a delay.
That's true.
So really, this shouldn't have been a nominee even.
I guess. All right.
Okay,
that means I'm going to put it on Final Fantasy.
I feel like the only fair thing to do is to put Dead Island 2 in its place.
You do that. You absolutely do feel that way. That is correct. I see you, Aggro. Feel seen and shut the fuck up. Hey, Chris, I was going to go to Aggro next, but now it's your turn.
This is retaliation.
Exact same 3 as Bob.
That's Arc 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the Star Wars Outlaws. Oh, Christ.
If you wanted me to pick one like as one that I think has I feel like Arc 2 is the one that has absolutely 0 chance of coming out this year. I think even Star Wars Outlaws has more of a shot. Because Ubisoft will just release a game broken and bad in a desperate bid to get any money before they go out of business.
I think they'll write it up to the line. But, okay, my votes are on Arc 2, Star Wars Outlaws, Skull and Bones, baby.
I would vote for Skull and Bones, but it's just like, it's boring now. We just know.
You know
it's
what,
the
Bob?
legend.
I understand. I'm right all the time, and it gets boring being right all the time. Okay, Aggro, I guess I'll let you vote.
Oh, do I get to participate
Yes.
in this society now?
Yes, but only because we installed a shot collar on you that if you try to say the words dead or island, it just zaps your ass.
This is a real both sides issue.
What is it?
So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Arc 2. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If for no other reason than spite.
God.
I've got to weigh between how realistic I feel Star Wars Outlaws being and how absolutely hilarious Skull and Bones would be. But I guess since this category is titled Most Likely, I'm going to go with Star Wars Outlaws.
Hell yeah. Okay, it looks like we've got a tie between Arc 2 and Star Wars Outlaws. Let me just move this to the side and we can start having... Oop, I screwed up the sheet. There we go. We're going to use the correct operation there and move that to the side. So the current order is Arc 2 and Star Wars Outlaw being tied. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with 3 votes and Skull and Bones with 1. Of the two, let me just make sure Arc 2 was announced for this year. Because it was. Yep, late 2024. Okay. They even confirmed this somewhat recently. Apparently a small studio working on it did. Weird. Very weird. Okay. You know, though, for official communications, the Steam page does not have a release date. But according to this article, it was announced in September that it would be pushed back to 2024. So that counts.
Yeah.
That is an announcement. Okay. I absolutely believe that we should probably go with Arc 2
Yeah.
with number 1.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
I also strongly
Yeah.
believe Star Wars Outlaws should be number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we hit it.
I think it's... my vote says what I believe and your votes say what you believe, but I think Skull and Bones is more likely to get delayed than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because that game isn't real. Like, Skull and Bones isn't real. Every time they'd have people
Yeah, but
play
it's
it, they're
never
like...
going to be real.
But exactly, you can't ship an imaginary game, aggro.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You ship a minigame compilation that costs $70 and you don't care if it bombs because any more money spent on it is just in the toilet instantly.
They have been letting people do the closed beta for months now. So there is some sort of shell of a game that they might just put out on the market. And that's what we're betting on them doing
Like
in
we
2
can't
months.
like you can't say that anymore, Dan. Redfall came out.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
game where every single thing about it was broken. Every single one.
But here's the thing. That was Microsoft, and they thought Halo Infinite was ready to ship in 2020 until the entire internet had to tell them, hell no, it isn't. Because they don't even listen to the developers when they tell them it's not ready. So it makes perfect sense that Microsoft would ship Redfall. Just like if Avowed turns out bad, that was Microsoft shipping it too early. It was definitely not
That's it.
Obsidian. It's not preparing any sort of escape clause for my enthusiasm for Avowed at all.
I say that, but I would be okay with Skull and Bones going above being 3rd place, most likely to be delayed above Final Fantasy.
Aggro, you have to ask yourself something. Which is stronger? Your understanding of the humor and consistency of Skull and Bones getting delayed again? Or your fucking wish board that is putting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in 3rd place? Which one is more compelling to you?
I honestly feel like Ubisoft is up against it and done. Like, I literally do believe that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth getting delayed a little bit is more likely than Skull and Bones.
Okay. Well, then that nails it. I guess we need to decide the runner-up because there's Skull and Bones and Dragon Dogma 2. Which do you think is more likely? Bob, vote.
Skull and Bones.
Aggro.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Chris?
Skull and Bones.
Okay. So we have an official runner-up. Sorry, Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm dropping you. Them's the rules right now. That makes our most likely to be delayed games for 2024. Arc 2 in 1st place. Star Wars Outlaws in a close 2nd. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in third, because, yeah, a couple weeks. Sure. And Skull and Bones as runner-up. Thank you to all of our nominees.
You know, next year we're probably going to have a most likely to be canceled category.
I just auto-filled this list with every live service game announced.
Yeah, I was going to say, we could even do that. We have like 5 announced from Sony that can probably all be canceled.
Yeah.
Take a moment to remember those we lost this year.
I won't remember you. You probably weren't real. The next category, biggest fuck up, sponsored by Unity, because we want to have any deliberation here.
Right.
Yeah, I think it still wins even with all the other fucking Giga nightmares on this list.
And it doesn't even come close. That's how strong the Unity meltdown was. The nominees are BioWare fires their writers. Bungie disembowels itself. David Zaslav says WB will die. Embracer Group was never real. Everybody, 1, 2, switch.
You moved.
You voted. Hyenas. Immortals of Avium. Jim Ryan causes the lost generation of PlayStation games. I really appreciate that phrasing. That is the best phrasing for this. Redfall. Starfield is precisely engineered to be anti-Skyrim.
These are all so bad.
The Phil Spencer Redfall interview. Oh my
It's
God.
bad enough to be a separate thing from Redfall. That was so dire.
100%. And Tim Sweeney thinks he can rule the world. We're going to let Dr. Agro vote first. You get 5 votes.
Jim Ryan causes the lost generation of PlayStation games. What an absolute Chad, standing on top of the mountain, looking out over the industry and deciding, I can fuck this up. All you had to do was not any of that, you dumb son of a bitch.
It's okay. He just greenlit a ton of live service games, made all of his single-player studios do a bunch of live service games, and then bought a company for an insane amount of money to have them come in and say, yeah, none of your shit's going to work, and then look at their own shit and go, uh-oh.
Neither is ours.
Speaking of executives who have no idea how the industry they're in functions, Tim Sweeney thinking he could get 50% of the PC market by wanting it, I guess.
He also bought exclusives and is giving away a free game every 10 seconds.
I'm going to go with Bungie disembowels itself. Because the whole thing was just disgusting. And we have not seen the end of Fallout from that yet.
My favorite part is when they have really smug GDC panels where they talk about how to do what they're doing and why they do it so well and all the lessons they learned. Because, oh boy, that really does give an interesting context to this year's meltdown.
Right.
Going to go with the Phil Spencer Redfall interview. When all you have is people's belief that you know what you're doing, it's a real unforced error to have a mental breakdown on a live stream and admit that you don't.
You have one last vote.
I'm going to go with Redfall. I think we need to put that game's entire development into a textbook.
Yeah. Absolutely. A single-player studio being forced to make a multiplayer game that no one at the studio wanted to make by a publisher that later got bought by Microsoft. That was, I believe, pushed back a year. Wasn't it originally supposed to come out in 2022? Like, I remember when they first announced it, it was supposed to come out closer. They push it back, and then when it comes out, it is still clearly nowhere near done. It's like, guys, you didn't need to ship this as much as you needed a good game.
Right. Yeah, so many baffling decisions during that.
Yeah, there were so many points where you should have at minimum pumped the brakes.
Yeah. From all those interviews that came out, it sounded like no one was listening to anyone at the studio at any level.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
We're going to go next to Chris.
Embracer Group was never real. That one's unspeakably rough. It's just like one deal went through, every studio we bought now has to be shut down.
Yeah, no, we're going to be stealing with falls from that for at least the next entire year, and everything that's already come out of it's horrible.
Yeah, nobody should have been able to do that, let alone allowed.
Yeah. Jim Ryan ruining Sony. Just the one, like, he like, so in Hunter x Hunter, there's this part where a guy has to look through, like, the infinite futures and find the one singular thread he can follow where he isn't instantly killed by this guy's power. Jim Ryan did that with failure. Like, there was so many ways that he could have not gotten them into this exact situation where now it's questionable if they're even releasing a game next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he managed.
Oh, this isn't Helldivers 2.
That game's not real.
That game is real. I know. I keep saying it, and it feels really unfortunate to be like, oh, finally, Helldivers 2, Sony's big game for 2024.
Tim Sweeney, that's half for nothing. Like a third, maybe, if you functioned optimally on every level. But half?
Yeah, that's deranged.
Half.
And didn't you think that would happen really quick, too?
That is Birdemic logic.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we made a deal for $10 million.
You are predicting that you will have more market share than Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just so wildly out of touch with reality. The Phil Spencer Redfall interview. I think that's actually a bigger fuck up than Redfall itself, even. Because that had to have made every single actual developer in a Microsoft studio pissed, because he threw Arcane under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
He went, delaying it wouldn't have helped. It was just a bad game. They just failed.
Listen, thin-skinned Xbox fans who totally made it this far into the Game of the Year deliberations. Nothing we have ever said about Microsoft's game studios is as savage as what Phil did in that interview. Because we blame the management and publishing end of it. We don't sit there and blame a studio that was made to ship a game way too early, saying their game would never be good, and blaming them for everything. That is unreal.
There was also the Xbox will never win thing, which,
yeah,
if you asked me to point at factors that cost Xbox to go down year over year, nobody likes to be on the losing team, Phil. You really shouldn't give yourself that image.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird because in a lot of the emails internally, you can see that sort of lack of belief too, which is weird.
He also completely obliterated, and he hasn't popped up a bunch since then, so I haven't had to endure it since. He's mostly realized, oh, I should stop. But there was the bit where he goes into really heavy console war fanboy terminology when he had always made opposing that a very visible part of his persona and Xbox's identity. So it felt like it really did feel like he showed up drunk and with depression.
Yeah. Yeah, that interview is one of the most ass out moments in the industry this year. You have one more vote. I know it's hard.
It is really. Immortals of Avium.
Are you so...
it's the Immortals of Avium redefines bomb. It was marketed everywhere. They extensively paid streamers to stream it. It was at every show it could conceivably be at. Their big new AAA single player title probably cost over $150 million on the low.
Oh yeah, that thing has to be over $200 million.
And it sold nothing.
You know, we're not going to have a big think soon from this recording, so I get to say this here. I went to a party, and I tried to explain to them the paradox of completely lacking appeal. The linoleum coating it puts on your brain when the phrase Immortals of Avium is said out loud in this room full of gamers could not retain the name once for a minute because we started actively having a conversation about it. And when they went to reach the part of their sentence where they say the name back, it was gone. Every single person. It happened multiple times in a row. They engineered from the ground up the most forgettable game humanly possible. I don't even know how they did it. I couldn't do it if I tried.
Again, I am willing to bet that someone at EA got the numbers back on how much this sold and is like, did you leave off a zero?
Wow. How did we sell 170 million copies, sir? That's a K.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Immortals of Avium, at the point we're recording this 6 months after it came out, has cracked 200K.
Yeah.
Like, it is the sort of bomb that you don't get nowadays. Normally, marketing and paying streamers and generating hype can push the worst dog shit to 1 million and, like, people remember it.
Let's go ahead and do it. Don't look at my screen, Bob. What do you all think was the all-time peak of Immortals of Avium, the next-gen first-person shooter RPG on Steam? All-time high player count. We're going to start with aggro.
500.
Chris.
I can't say because I know.
Bob.
I'm going to say 1,000.
751. Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's what I mean. Forspoken was 15 times higher. Like, that's what I mean by a bomb that makes no sense. Like a bomb unlike any other bomb in the industry. Like, it's next level.
Shout out to my girl Void Stranger sitting at 331, almost as big as Immortals of Avium. Probably cost $1 million as much to make. That's rough. Okay, who's next on voting? Hey, Bob, have you voted?
No, I have not
Go
voted.
ahead and vote.
I gotta vote for the Embracer thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's been heartbreaking to see all year. Especially losing Time Splitters.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
And, like, the big fuck up here to me is that it was all disingenuous. It was all disearnest.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't like they had a real plan and failed. It was like the plan was to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And interest rates went up. Now nobody's buying. Time to shut down $1 billion worth of studios.
And then Jim Ryan's Jinkaria moment of just we'll never know his plan.
Jim Caria.
He's like, we got Ichigo this time. We're shipping 12 live service games.
The Redfall interview. We've been over it. Psychotic.
You know what? I'll get to it in my turn.
Bungie disaboweling itself. I feel like this one was inevitable, but to see it happen this spectacularly, like
And savagely.
yeah, I feel like we all kind of knew it was coming for years because, like, Destiny's not actually making that much money, is it? And we kept saying that for years. Like, nobody was really talking about it. It was getting hyped up by these Destiny streamers, but outside of that, it was like nobody. So of course again they come out since now, but it still sucks how big it is.
It's weird because, like, I'm sure Destiny had sales, and I'm sure their monetization did all right, but they were always held up as this huge amount of sales, like something that would make Sony first party look bad.
Right.
That sort of thing. And you can tell because they bought them for, what was it, $4 billion?
Yeah, way too much.
And that always seemed weird and strange, and that was them at their peak. Now that we're in the decline, to see the studio turn on itself so dividedly and so savagely firing people is crazy.
Yeah. My God.
Now, Bob, I think you should vote for Immortals of Avium.
Bob, let me tell you about a game that deserves it a lot more. A game that isn't horsing around when it comes to fucking up. Everybody 1-2 Switch is so much bigger a fuck up than Immortals of Avium because it was a Nintendo project that everyone internally said, don't even ship this.
I know. Like, they had all the
but it
signs
still
that they
probably
should-
sold more than Immortals of Avium.
It probably did.
It probably did, but it definitely made Nintendo look bad and weird.
It
No,
did.
no, they successfully hid it. They successfully dropped it behind a rock, so only grandmas would buy it for their children.
They did. They managed that. Well, before we get to that discussion,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to vote for Tim Sweeney.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What a What a buffoon.
Immortals of Avium is real lucky we have multiple industry-wide catastrophes.
Oh yeah, if there
this
weren't
year
just
to soak it up.
if there weren't those,
Yeah.
then everyone would be like, yeah, Immortals of Avium, of course.
That was your last vote.
Oh, that was my last one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I think that the industry stuff is way more important than Immortals of Avium. Even though Avium will probably cause EA to resync a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Between Redfall, Immortals of Avium, Hyenas, and Everybody 1-2 Switch, if any of them's going to pull away one of my votes, it's Everybody 1-2 Switch, because that was insane levels of, we've had this game sitting in a vault for a year. We think it might kill. But let's go ahead and get to my round of voting. Tim Sweeney thinks delusional. Absolutely delusional that he thought he could get half of the PC market, which is insane. Valve didn't even set out to do that. And yet they became the definitive distribution platform. You can't get there from just having exclusives, says the man who finally used his account again to get Alan Wake 2 for $26 2 months after release. Or is it one?
With a free game. With a free game on top of that.
And a Fortnite skin. Not that that actually matters, but, now I can play rhythm games as Mr. Alan Wake himself.
I mean, he's better than any of the standard Fortnite skins you start with. I would probably be more likely to play Fortnite with that skin.
That's true, which is the real plus. Let's be real. The Phil Spencer Redfall interview is insane because it shows a mindset that Phil has that is more cynical about Xbox's place in the market and their potential than any of us has ever expressed on a podcast.
Yeah, every time we're like, well, there's moves that Phil could make to bring this back, and he's like, no, there's not. It's over.
Dude's drunk in bed, won't get out of bed, and just goes, no, it's done. It's over. I'm already dead. Jim Ryan's causes the last generation of PlayStation games is rough, and that is going to define this gen. If anything will lose Sony face in regards to Nintendo and Microsoft, it will be Jim Ryan greenlighting 12 different live service games, shutting down the developer behind Concrete Genie and all these other moves, when all the man had to do was keep the lightest amount of variety on the middle and lower end budget and keep making these Sony quadruple A games. That's all he had to do, and for some reason, he just couldn't.
Yeah, no. He had to get those infinite money games that will all be canceled. And then that will look great. Just like The Last of Us getting canceled totally looks great for Sony.
It's so weird because I've seen people say that they don't understand why people are so critical of Jim Ryan. I've seen people who have bigger platforms than us say that. And that really confounds me.
Yeah.
Because this is the easiest to call tenure I've ever seen. There's literally never been an executive more obviously bad. Like it is easier to, I think it's easier for people to say Jim Ryan had failed at his job than Phil Spencer.
Until the Redfall interview, absolutely.
Right.
No, I don't know. Phil is doing a pretty good job concocting the Rube Goldberg machine of we don't actually have to sell games or consoles and can still somehow be profitable.
Yeah, the way they would phrase it, and I'm going to use their language, is that Phil has very good optics, and Jim Ryan doesn't have very good optics. His optics are bad.
Yeah, at least Xbox fanboys love Phil. Sony fanboys hate Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not one motherfucker on earth who likes Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan has some difficult phone calls around the holidays.
Embracer Group was never real. You had an easy win here. You were doing pretty well. Good roadmap ahead of you. Why'd you have to do it?
Yeah, we were gassing them up like finally somebody who understands middle tier projects can make money.
And they were making money. They were making money on projects that weren't even done, like that first SpongeBob game. Or was it the second one? I think it was the remake that wasn't done.
Oh, was it not done?
No, it was the second one. That was the one that's just like, I'm playing this months after launch and
Yeah, you keep clipping through things.
That's embarrassing and terrible and justifies 10 more years of big think cynicism when it comes to large corporations.
Yep.
This is my last vote now, and I'm torn. I haven't voted for Redfall. which does deserve it. I haven't voted for Starfield is precisely engineered to be anti-Skyrim, which deserves it. I voted for 1-2 Switch, or David Zaslav, or Bungie. So which one of these?
Not a good year on this side of things.
No. And this is without Unity in here.
Right?
I think Bungie is probably the most tragic of the remaining things you didn't vote for.
I'm going to have to agree. Yeah. Okay. Voting for Bungie. Let's go ahead and get this in the computer, and it will tell us how many tied with 4 votes things we have. So I copy and paste this into the document, right? And then I tell it to sort. It was like, yeah, also Pow World. That's the biggest fuck up because I didn't delete the old things. Yeah, you're jumping the gun. Okay, so tied with 4 votes. The top 3 are Jim Ryan causes the lost generation of PlayStation games, the Phil Spencer Redfall interview, and Tim Sweeney thinks he can rule the world. You damn straight, that's a lock-in. Bungie disembowels itself has 3 votes. Embracer Group was never real has 3 votes. Immortals of Avium has 1, and Redfall has 1. Which means BioWare firing their writers falls off. David Zaslav says WB will die falls off. Everybody 1-2 Switch hyenas.
All these things are
Starfield.
bad, but there was like 8 different extinction events this year.
I know.
Just comet after comet stacking up in that same hole.
Yeah, it's like if the dinosaurs had the worst fucking day ever.
Does anyone think anything not in the top 3 will get there?
I feel like Embracer Group was never real to
Yes.
get there.
Yeah.
I feel like Embracer could, because we're going to be... That is the one that's going to have the longest reaching implications, I think.
Okay.
Maybe even longer than Sony.
So we're okay with Bungie disembowels himself, Immortals of Avium, and Redfall falling off?
Yeah.
Or do you want to tie
Yeah.
the for runner-up?
Yeah, I feel
The
like
Bungie one.
Bungie can get a runner-up on whoever we knock down. Because I feel like
Okay.
Embracer Group's in the top 3, honestly.
Okay, so that means goodbye to Immortals of Avium and Redfall. Your video games. These are bigger than you. 3 votes each. Chris.
Jim Ryan, Embracer, Tim Sweeney.
Bob.
Same 3.
Aggro.
Jim Ryan, Embracer, and Phil Spencer.
You know, I've switched my Tim Sweeney to Phil Spencer, too. He needs his support.
Jim Ryan. Embracer. Tim Sweeney. I'm sorry.
Was that everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. If I might try to sway you.
Okay. Let me just shuffle some things real quick to get these 2 that are currently tied on the lower half. There we go.
The Tim Sweeney thing is dumb.
Mhm.
That he thought that. I mean, if you're being charitable, you could say it was ambitious and a little ignorant. Also, the Epic Game Store, that wasn't really this year's fuck up. That's been around for a while. We just found out what he thought it was going to be this year.
That's a pretty sound argument.
Whereas the Phil Spencer thing was just an unforced error.
Yeah, and he literally threw devs under the bus for no reason. He didn't have to do this interview.
To me, the Tim Sweeney thinks he can rule the world biggest fuck up of the year is the intention was to get 50% of the PC market. And all of these other actions that culminated in this year, they did all those firings.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is to me.
Okay.
That's why I rank it higher than Phil Spencer, because the Tim Sweeney thing has... I feel like while the Phil Spencer interview is terrible and will probably has some impact on the material world in the element of impacting employee morale at Microsoft, the Tim Sweeney thing just has a much bigger, like, visible effect you can see in reality.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the actual, like, oh, you're also talking about how they built up the company insanely and just dumped everybody.
Yeah, this was a vehicle that was driving at unsustainable... Basically, he was like, we're going to make our own Hyperloop, and it ended up being that rocket sled from Mythbusters, and it slammed into the wall this year.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
All right.
Pushing it up there so we have a top 3 of people destroying their own industry.
Unlike, Phil Spencer, who just destroyed his reputation and morale of all of his studios. But weirdly enough, it didn't sink in with any Xbox fans.
Yeah.
I don't know one Xbox fan who went, I watched that interview and I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only ones who are left are the true knights.
Right. Yeah, they're like, he's so right. We are just so trialed by the rest of the industry. We're in such a bad position, but we don't deserve to be.
We'll never win, and we don't deserve to win. And those developers at the Arcane, they're just stupid. That was a skill issue, not making that multiplayer game always online thing. Okay, so here's my second thing. I think the Phil Spencer Redfall interview is so strong, Bungie disemboweling itself shouldn't even be runner-up tied with it. Am I alone in that?
I think Bungie should be above Phil Spencer. Like, that's another thing that has a bigger material impact than that bad interview.
I think when you're one of the 3 major console manufacturers and you say there's no way we can win, that you shipping a bad game was inevitable and there's nothing you could do, and then you blame the devs, and then you say Starfield is not going to get anyone to buy an Xbox.
I mean, he was right.
That doesn't... Bob, if Jim Ryan came out and said, I'm greenlighting 12 service games, only a fourth of them will ship, none of them will succeed. Does that make what he did smart?
No. Yeah, it's tough. Like, I feel like they're both really strong and should both be runners up, honestly.
Yeah, the problem is how different they are in shape to really compare them to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bungie thing is vile, but you could view it from the perspective of, oh, well, this is just the horrible thing that businesses do because we set them up this way. So, like, it's a bigger fuck up in that its area of effect is larger, but also it was more expected, whereas Phil Spencer just fucked up.
Yeah. No.
Even though he's just one guy in an alley throwing jars at a wall.
It's true. It really was deeply pathetic.
I mean, yeah, this is what happens.
Unspeakably so.
That was the only time I think we've ever truly seen the Phil in those emails that leaked.
Mm-hmm.
The Phil who's just like, core gaming isn't growing. I don't know. Do we shut down the Xbox divisions and force them all to do mobile games? That could give us growth. That's what would be necessary for growth. I don't see any other way out of this.
I don't think I read those. That's insane.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
But yeah, okay, we'll just have them both be runners up. We'll do that. I think the Phil one's more powerful, but they can both coexist. We can have 2 kings, right? Mm-hmm. 2 nightmare kings. Does everyone feel like the Jim Ryan thing is number 1? Or do you feel like Embracer Group was number 1? We'll go ahead and just give everybody, because it's clear Tim Sweeney's number 3.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll each get 1 vote. Bob, Embracer or Jim Ryan?
The Jim Ryan run upsets me more.
Chris.
Embracer.
Aggro.
Like, I'm more mad about Jim Ryan personally because he ruined something beautiful, but I would understand if Embracer took this.
I am voting Jim Ryan. And the reason is, that motherfucker was handed gold. It is worth noting, a lot of people are like, but Jim Ryan shipped all those really good games. And it's like, that wasn't him. That was Sean Layden and Andy House. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys who greenlit and fostered those studios, understood the idea of original IP, and got it all the way to the finish line right before Jim takes over. Jim isn't responsible for The Last of Us Part 2. He's not responsible for Ghost of Tsushima. He's not responsible for basically anything except for greenlighting a game called Spider-Man 2 and all of these live service games. Good job, Jim.
He's not like every single thing that Sony, like nothing that Jim Ryan would have spearheaded or greenlit has shipped yet.
The closest thing to an influence he has had on the PlayStation brand is these live service games, the raising of the price of PlayStation Plus, the Pro, I suppose, but really that's just following the cadence of last gen, which is barely a decision when that's what you're doing. That's autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
All the million different tiers I put on him because that's him saying, well,
Absolutely.
Microsoft is doing it. We should be doing it.
This is a man who was invited to stand on the shoulders of giants and took a shit.
So that's why I'm voting for Jim Ryan. The Embracer Group thing is horrible, detestable, contemptible, but is sadly the way capitalism is going largely right now, and not a giant screw up on top of that. So, Aggro, are you with me?
Yeah, this will work.
Okay. So, biggest fuck up, sponsored by Unity. Which would have won? It wouldn't even been a discussion.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, in terms of things that are going to have long-reaching impacts on the industry, we should have put in most likely to be delayed every single game on Unity parentheses as they change engines.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know how they have like games for change? Well, this is fuck ups for change because, man, Godot got so much green light. It's in the limelight now. Everyone's paying attention to Godot, and just because of Unity, which is insane. Imagine if one of these 3D modeling programs, like whatever, 3ds Max or whatever they use, fucked up so bad that AAA studios were like, nah, we're switching to Blender. Which they should do, to be clear. But yeah, that travesty would have taken it easily, wouldn't even been a discussion. But understanding that sponsored the category of biggest fuck up, the actual biggest fuck up nominee that won is Jim Ryan causes the lost generation of PlayStation games, followed by Embracer Group was never real. And in third place, Tim Sweeney thinks he can rule the world and hits the wall. Congratulations to our runners-up, the Phil Spencer Redfall interview and Bungie disemboweling itself. And now we finally get to some small categories. You know, in years prior, I would have mixed the smaller categories in better.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just going to feel so brisk at the end. Things we don't want on Big Think Dimension in 2024, sponsored by Microsoft Acquiring Things. The nominees are Concord reemerges. Dragon Age Dreadwolf canceled. BioWare shut down. Jinkaria added to Bleach Brave Souls.
But I do want that, though.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like bravery. Max Payne is not Sam Lake. Microsoft announces new higher Game Pass tier for Activision Blizzard content, and the PS5 Pro is $600 and the disk drive is not included.
Ugh.
We get 3 votes because there are only 6 nominees. Let's get to it. Chris, you have opinions. You can start us off.
Max Payne is not Sam Lake. I can't think of anything else that would just make me completely lose interest in that remake from what he's doing, where it's like, nah, I don't even care anymore.
It's already rough enough where there's a chance that it won't have the original voice actor because he passed.
Yeah, because he's passed. Yeah.
If they change it to not be Sam Lake, that's going to actually kill me.
Yeah, that would just be... Like, why would they do it? That'd be insane.
I'm not that worried about it because there's like 800 jokes in Alan Wake 2 within the first 5 hours of Sam Lake doing the face.
Of course. Because it's a great video
game. I think they
game.
know that I think it's important. I think they understand the importance of Sam Lake's face. Jinkaria, because I'll feel responsible. Like, I will feel that because it hasn't happened yet. No bounce shit at all is in Bleach Brave Souls yet. So if it happens now, I have to assume the unbelievably mild upgrade in discussion of Jinkaria we caused was somehow involved, and I would feel really bad about that.
At the same time, I felt pain like I did during 7th Gen as all these things crumbled, and as a part of this channel, this service we provide, I feel like making sure others understand that pain is an important service. So I will never vote for Jinkaria being in Brave Souls being a bad thing. I will be delighted to read that news.
And I'm going to say Microsoft doing a higher tier of Game Pass, because that might produce the most insufferable discussions ever, where people who aren't idiots will say, see, you didn't even get anything from them buying Activision. You have to pay $25 a month to get their stuff. And then Xbox fanboys saying, no, it's fine that it costs $300 a year for Game Pass, actually.
Now, that's interesting. I actually didn't think about it around the discourse. I read that category and I merely thought of it as strategically, what does this mean for Microsoft long term?
Yes, there's also that element of it, but a big part of it is just, man, that means Microsoft, there's zero growth. There's absolutely no growth in anything, and they just need take more money from the people they have. Like, that's what it would mean on one level. And then there'd be people who, under no circumstances, would they ever be able to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go next to Bob.
The PS5 Pro is $600 and doesn't have a disk drive. It's what? No. Don't even pretend. It's not okay.
Yeah, that isn't okay. Honestly, it was very hard. I had to really struggle not to vote for that.
Counterpoint. It will be worth it for me. See how complicated this is?
But that, like, look.
That's like after tax, that's like $750.
Yes. And when I say worth it, let me explain. The PS5 Pro is going to be capable of such impressive fucking graphics. Do you know what level of system you would need on PC to come anywhere close? I think this is legitimately, like, this is going to go so far beyond what the gap was last time with the Pro consoles that it's kind of insane.
Something just really irks me about you guys'
Doesn't have the
console
disk
just
drive.
doesn't have a disk drive.
Yeah, that actually upset. Like, if it was $650 and had the disk drive, I would actually be happier than $600 without it.
Yeah. No, I just don't want to have to buy a
more than
console.
$50.
Right, but it's not, like, I don't want to buy a thing where I have to go buy another thing for it to work at all.
Yeah.
That actually,
Yeah, that's true.
to me, that's the larger point.
Right.
And just to be clear, it's not that I'm not made of money. My perspective is a little different in that my girlfriend's going to get my PS5 next year.
I also have somebody I could give my PS5 to, so there is that element for me. But man, I have trouble envisioning something that looks good enough to justify how much it will cost.
I haven't, because I played Alan Wake on PC. I genuinely, as I play Alan Wake 2 on PC, I'm like, oh man, how close could we get to this with the PS5 Pro is kind of haunting to me. Like, I'm excited to see that. I want to never see FSR 2 again, and if $600 is what that takes.
Yeah, that's sure also kind of how I feel, but I can still not want it to happen.
Absolutely. And I understand. And you like, anyone who's listening to this, they probably assume I'm rich. No, I didn't have PlayStation Plus for most of the PS4 gen. I was barely able to afford games during 7th gen. It really is, I don't want to play a generation of games that are absolutely ruined by FSR 2. That's the primary point. And while I own a nice production quality GPU with, it's a 4000 series, I don't, like, it's not safe to play these games on PC.
No.
It's not safe to play Star Wars on PC. I want a future where, like, this PS5 Pro is, like, strong enough where it's like, that's the definitive solution. And if $600 is it, then I guess there's that. They better price reduce. Honestly, it's going to upset me more if the PS5 normal is not $400.
Right. And my whole thing isn't the PS5 Pro being $600. It's not having a disk drive. Like, that was the part that super is not okay. As for our other choices, Microsoft's now the new higher tier of Game Pass.
Okay, so what's the worst part of that to you?
As usual, they lead the industry with the worst practices. So just it becoming more and more okay to just be like, no, higher. Number go up.
Well, to some extent, you can make the argument that this has already happened.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just happening again for any reason whatsoever. Bad.
I'll save it for my turn.
And yeah, Max Payne not being Sam like what insane. No, you should never make that game.
Yeah, we've done this before with Max Payne 3. We've done this before with Spider-Man Remastered.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Aggro.
I'm going to vote for Jin Karia added to Bleach Brave Souls.
God damn it.
Because I envision a future in which that happens, and that game's, like, a statistically significant portion of its player base goes, who the fuck is Jin Karia? And Googles him. And because of our sin, them just Googling Jin Karia invariably leads them to us. We get an enormous influx of Bleach fans, and responding to market forces, we now have to shift most of our production time into new Bleach-focused content.
Chris, I look forward to your 2-hour-long video essay on what if Ichigo betrayed Rukia?
I mean, I might have a video I can cook that I sent Bob the conceit for last night.
Microsoft announces a new higher Game Pass tier for Activision and Blizzard content. As we drift closer and closer to the Amazon Prime model of, no, you need to pay the base subscription, and then you can choose all of these other premium subscriptions to add on.
We've now inserted ads into the Game Pass games. You want to remove them?
I'm pretty sure there's a patent for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The absolute worst part about that is, if it included a WoW subscription, I'd buy it because it'd be cheaper overall than having both separate. Be like, okay, $25 a month. A WoW subscription is $15.
I mean, I'm about
Just
to
makes sense.
finish binging my Game Pass games, and then I'm going to disable Game Pass entirely. My New Year's resolution, were I to have one, is to stop every subscription I have. I'm tired of bleeding money because they've conditioned us to it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying my car insurance. Come and stop me.
Hey, lots of people do that.
All insurance is theft. And I think I'm also going to go with the PS5 Pro with $600 and does not include a disc drive, which I like. I feel like I'm standing on the train tracks and it's coming, and I'm just going to shout Ryan as the train hits me.
Mm-hmm.
You look like Piccolo taking the beam in DBZ's intro.
As I hand over $600 and then $50 more for a disc drive.
80.
You know, honestly, if the PS5 normal isn't lowered was on this list, I would be petitioning for that. Because the thought that it could be $500 at the end of next year.
Yeah,
makes
that
makes my blood boil. That actually makes my blood boil so much more than this. Because to me, the important thing about technological progress, like, you know, to me, I always thought it was really important that games and technology should get cheaper as it goes. You know, greatest hits, very important. Consoles getting smaller revisions that are cheaper, very important. I'm going to vote for Max Payne not being Sam Lake because, oh man, that would be terrible. That'd be horrible. I'm not even sure that I could, yeah. I don't want Microsoft announcing a new higher Game Pass tier for Activision Blizzard content to be on Big Think this next year, but I think it's the most likely thing in all of this. And I suppose I will submit that the PS5 Pro is $600 and the disc drive is not included upsets me at a philosophical level of the Pro version of a thing shouldn't be incomplete.
Right. Last time they took out the optical port. What more they can do? Oh, the disc drive.
Well, they didn't take out the optical on the Pro. They took it out on the Slim. I'm pretty sure it's still there on the PS4
maybe it was
Pro.
on the extra revision of the Pro, because I feel like that might have done something else.
Okay, I thought PS4 Pro still had optical. It was the PS4 Slim that lost it. Okay, well, maybe it was both, and I just misremember. Keep in mind, I had the launch PS4 the entire gen, and I still have it to this day.
It might even just be that I'm thinking of the PS5 took it out. And it's
yeah,
like,
the
this
PS5
is the
took it out, and I
thing.
was livid. I was fucking pissed. That makes no sense. It's a $500 console. That is a perfect audio connection.
No, you're just Jamar.
Yeah, fucking idiots now here who literally know nothing. They don't know their ass from their fucking face when it comes to audio. They're like, but it's old. Why do you care about a thing that's old? Yeah, because I know what I'm talking about, you stupid motherfucker. Anyway, let's do things relevant to what we're doing here today. Put this in the computer. Get it to sort these things and figure out what is our top contenders here. Who is really? What is Xbox Game Pass? Are we Xbox Game Pass? Bob, are you Xbox Game Pass?
No.
Chris, are you Xbox Game Pass?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I am Xbox Game Pass.
He's in the call with us.
I get out of my chair and it's like Spy Kids, the video game one where the grandpa gets out of the chair and is in the power suit.
Okay. So we only have 4 things in this last run here. Microsoft announces a new higher Game Pass tier for Activision Blizzard content with 4 votes. So I think possibly number 1. Max Payne is not Sam Lake with 3. The PS5 Pro is $600. The disc drive is not included. It has 3 votes. And Jinkaria is added to Bleach Brave Souls with 2 votes. Does everyone think Microsoft announces new higher Game Pass tier should be number 1.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Every time you say it, I get more tired.
Because it seems so inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Because they like, if they had put that shit on there immediately, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But they hemmed and hawed and were like, well, it'll be there in a couple months.
We'll figure it out.
Makes me think it'll be exactly this.
The funny thing is, I feel like a lot of people aren't even noticing this because they're absolutely terrible at remembering things.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Bethesda thing, you recall they were like, no, they never. When it came to the Activision Blizzard acquisition, people were like, well, they never pretended it was going to be multi-platform. And I'm like, no, they literally said that when they were buying Bethesda, and then it went through and they changed their mind. They're like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I'm funny. Let's talk about number 2 and number 3. Let's do votes for number 2 and number 3. Because I think we could all agree, or at least half of us could strongly agree, that Jinkaria added to Bleach Brave Souls should be runner-up at best. 1 vote each between Max Payne is not Sam Lake and the PS5 Pro is $600. The disc drive is not included. Bob.
PS5 Pro.
Chris.
Sam Lake.
Aggro.
PS5 Pro.
Fuck.
PS5 Pro being that much would suck, but it's hard to understate, like, it's hard to overstate how attached I am to Max Payne being Sam Lake.
I just feel like it's way less likely. Like, I feel like they're almost certainly not going to do this. That would be crazy if they did.
But this is things we don't want on BTT in 2024, not things most likely to happen.
That's true.
So which one?
Why are those two categories so similar?
So the question is, which would devastate you more, Bob?
Them not including that disc drive, honestly. Because
Yeah.
there's still those great Max Payne games. I can go back and play 1 and 2.
Or some might even say just 1.
Yeah, probably just 1, honestly.
I don't know. I haven't played 2. Maybe I'll find that out in the next year. Rimmed December looking pretty good. I have to be honest. As much as I think it's a larger cultural loss for Max Payne to not be Sam Lake, and I would be very upset, the PS5 Pro being $600 and not including the disc drive will continue the degradation of my soul, the breakdown of my soul by modern capitalism. The thought that you could buy the premier version of a thing and it is not complete is the exact thing that is ruining society. The notion that 4 years after the launch of a console, you get a version that is $100 more than the MSRP of that console 4 years prior, the premium version, and it can't take discs, would actually upset me much more. So if it's $650 and it has a disc drive, I will just barely swallow that pill.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to vote for that. I say that gets second.
That seems right.
That seems right to me. So I'm going to read this order and we're going to see how we feel about it. Microsoft announced this new higher Game Pass tier for Activision Blizzard content, which is horrible, and the march of terrible capitalist processes to break down the human soul. The PS5 Pro is $600 and the disc drive is not included. Same. Max Payne is not Sam Lake, which is horrible, and why would you even do that? And Jinkaria has added the Bleach Brave Souls, a thing submitted by cowards.
Yeah, I feel like that should just be removed.
I feel like the globe should be enlightened on the deeds of Jinkaria.
Yeah, and then we can get the extra DLC for Yoshi.
Oh my god!
No, we're not. There's no way anyone that isn't the one Kubo designed is going to be there.
Bob, what does a green dinosaur have to do? Oh, right. Oh my god, Yoshi.
Stop talking about them. Why do you remember her name?
Because we didn't know it for a really long time,
Right.
I guess.
And
So
then
when it finally fell out of someone's mouth, we went, who?
Yeah, I think you even read the section of what's her name.
Yeah.
And you made it a whole thing.
Yeah.
That's true, I did. But you still shouldn't have remembered it.
Well, that's going to do it for things we don't want on Big Thing to Mention in 2024, sponsored by Microsoft Acquiring Things. Worth noting, Microsoft Acquiring Things also would no contest win.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to stop this.
Yeah. It's only so, they can only do this for so long before they embrace. The next category, the DOA Online Game Awards, sponsored by Hyenas and Babylon's Fall and Rumbleverse. The nominees are The Finals, Exoprimal, Omega Strikers, Redfall, and Warhaven. Is Warhaven real?
It's real. I played it.
Okay, which one's Warhaven?
That's the one with knights and also melee combat and sci-fi stuff that's not actually in the game, but then the ads. It showed up like 3 times, thanks to Jeff Keighley, I believe.
That wasn't the Destiny, but
no, that's the first Descendant, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull up the Steam charts for all of these that we can, so that way we can just quickly get some information about how are these doing on Steam at very least. You know, one of the few platforms that openly, oh man, Redfall's not reviewing well right now. Could you imagine?
Wow, how'd that happen?
Phil might have some things to say about how that might happen. Should we listen to him? Do you listen to Phil? Do you take Phil's pill? Okay, so we have 5 nominees, and apparently Omega Strikers is Switch only. Is that right?
I believe so. I checked. We can check it.
Okay. It's free to play on Steam right now.
All right.
In fact, it came out last year on Steam.
What?
Yeah, it came out in 2022. It's similar to games you've played, Dota. Something tells me you're wrong. Just gonna guess. You're probably really wrong on this one. Okay, so we have information for Omega Strikers, but technically this information we're getting is for the game that came out last year instead of the Switch version that came out this year. I don't think that'll matter.
No.
Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, the finals is doing really well. 24-hour peak has 122,000 players. The all-time peak happened only 19 days ago with 242,000 players. So,
yeah, they are currently in their
That was
launch marketing cycle of having the biggest streamers on Earth play it. So
That's
they
true.
are cheating right now, but
they are cheating well because, you know, other games have tried this and it has not worked out for them at all. So, reminder, all-time peak 242,000, 24-hour peak 122. Omega Strikers, all-time peak 19,257, 24-hour peak 535.
it's not great.
It's going to look great in 10 seconds. Redfall, all-time peak 6,124, 24-hour peak 143. Ooh. Exoprimal, all-time peak 4,995. Weirdly enough, the all-time peak was 2 months ago. This game came out over the summer, so it peaked not at launch.
I think they did a free launch or free weekend or something.
That's true. 24-hour peak 136. Warhaven, all-time peak 10,456. 24-hour peak 273.
Oh, wow.
That game came out in September. There are interesting definitions of dead on arrival. One might be able to argue that the all-time peak being the lowest means it is the most dead on arrival.
Yes.
In which case, unbelievably, Exoprimal would win. Exoprimal is also not looking good in other ways with the 136 24-hour peak. Redfall made the biggest splash, though, in a sense. Now, keep in mind, these are Steam numbers.
Uh-huh.
And as far as I understand, which I could be wrong, as far as I understand, if you have the Xbox version on PC, it should not count for Steam. Unless there's a way to register it in Steam and that contributes to this chart. I do not believe that's the case, but it could be. I think you would have to launch that exclusively through the Xbox app, and that Steam would not be able to contribute that.
Right, I think you're right.
So, in a sense, Redfall could have even higher numbers. Exoprimal could too on console, but we're not here to discuss that. I mean, we kind of are, but we kind of aren't. Weirdly enough, out of all of these, it seems like the finals is doing the best by a long shot, by an order of magnitude. I think it should be removed from the runnings outright.
Yeah, it's still in the cheating phase, and it's doing it well, even with its AI voices.
You say that, but its all-time peak is literally 220,000 higher than the next closest one.
Yeah.
That is a really high all-time peak that all of these other ones would beg for.
Right,
They
of
would
course.
kill for.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer would end a life in a dark alley if the Steam all-time
At the
height...
same time, nothing seems more doomed than the finals. Like, it just radiates like the moment we stop pumping in money to artificially inflate all of this, we're going to vanish immediately. As in, the company will shut down. Like, it just has this stink of failure on it.
I can hear the argument that the finals will fold before Warhaven because Warhaven is made by Nexon. And they will just continue that way too long.
I mean, this is made by Nexon. The finals is made by Nexon.
No, it's made by Embark Studio.
They're a subsidiary of Nexon.
Oh my god, we have 2 Nexon fucking games in this fucking... Are you serious?
They might have, with the finals, made the perfectly nondescript, boring game that will appeal to everyone. It's possible.
I don't think so. I feel like it got it's a similar buff to that what is that thing by the Bulletstorm devs? Is that the Outriders is what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Where that was real big initially.
I'm going to make the argument that the finals is actually resilient in the way that Valorant is. You can't explain with words why Valorant worked.
Sure I can. I can absolutely explain it. It's Counter-Strike with fucking Overwatch things and it's pushed by Riot.
Right, that one's real obvious. Now, there was something else. It was Alpha Company, I believe. It feels like it could be another one of those.
The finals good?
Yeah, where it's like, nobody's playing this, but also actually many people are playing it. It's got the most boring art style you can imagine. And seemingly nothing that sets it apart from other games, but people like it.
What is that? What is the name of this game? There's no game called Alpha Company.
Oh my god. It's something company.
Talking about Lethal Company?
I don't think so. Let me look at it.
Because everybody's playing that.
Talk about the genre. Give us any clues.
It was showed up at several press conferences. It's not Lethal Company. It's a third-person shooter that was trying to be Fortnite-like. Everyone wears business suits. Man, what the heck was this?
Let's move on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The interesting thing out of all of this is that Exoprimal, as far as I know, is the only one that costs money.
Huh.
Well, Redfall cost money initially.
That's true. Redfall costs money on Steam.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, between the two of them...
You could theoretically buy Redfall on Xbox also. I think they printed copies.
Yeah, they did, and they had to patch the thing over to say, it is not 60 frames per second. We're sorry, we printed that on this box. It is now, by the way. No one pays attention to updates to Redfall, but they patched it. It's 60 now.
Rogue Company.
Oh, Rogue Company.
How many people are playing this?
According to their Epic Games Store page, 20 plus million players.
Well, it has 283 people watching it on Twitch.
Okay, so that's a lie.
Rogue Company's on Steam charts is not great. 771 11 minutes ago, 12,000 all time.
771 is kicking the shit out of Exoprimal Redfall and Warhaven. So really, this thing's towering over everything but the finals. Thus, the comparison.
Was Rogue Company this year? Did that come out this year?
That was last year.
It's not running. Bob wanted to draw a comparison. Yeah, he wanted to draw a comparison to a game he couldn't remember the name of. That's how we ended up here. What was the all-time high for Rogue Company, though? Just as a comparison point?
12,000? 12,000 on Steam.
Well, there you go. The finals is like 210,000 higher than that.
Right.
The finals, these are good numbers, like, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm of, like, I'm not salivating over here and think this is like a watershed moment, but from the energy I've seen out there, I do not think the finals should be in this running. I think these other 4 are so handily bombing in comparison that it should probably go to those. With Redfall and Exoprimal simultaneously, yes, you have to pay to play them, which means they have a harder time, but they are also made by big, important studios and got plenty of marketing. So I think for me, primarily, those 2 are the ones that should actually be underscored the most.
Mm-hmm. Right. I see your point that, like, no matter how much you can smell the future collapse on the finals, it was propped up for its launch window, and it doesn't seem to be embarrassing.
That's more than
anybody.
most people can manage. That's true.
Right. We're sitting 19 days after launch and 122,000 people are playing. I think it actually may be able to make it. Like, in as much as any live service game will be able to make it in the coming winter.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not voting for that at all. Let me go ahead and start the vote just so we can get moving. So I'm gonna say the most dead game is either Redfall or Exoprimal. From there, I have to choose between Warhaven, a game that had a pretty high peak 3 months ago, but is now down at 273, and Omega Strikers, which released for reals according to this Steam DB thing, unlike the page, which is different. I guess that was early access. Unclear.
Yeah, that's how it always goes.
Is saying April is when it came out. Its all-time high is 19,257. Warhaven's is 10,000. Yeah, honestly, it's really weird.
Omega Strikers interested me initially, and then I found out like they hired a bunch of YouTubers to be the voice actors for their characters, and I'm like, oh, goodbye.
For me, I look at Warhaven and my first thought was, this is a Nexon game and it's bombing 3 months after launch. That is concerning. Like, that has the stink of death to me. That seems like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really weird. Is
and
Warhaven
Omega Strikers is like clearly way lower budget. Like, I feel like they can keep that game going and be accepting of smaller numbers, whereas looking at Warhaven, money is just leaking.
Okay. Is Warhaven even on other platforms?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, now I'm just like, maybe it's not.
Warhaven does not have a Wikipedia article.
This isn't looking good for Warhaven.
No, this is... You might have gotten cocky, Warhaven fans.
Omega Strikers is dead.
What do you mean it's dead?
What?
They announced this 2 months ago. It's staying up, but no more content ever.
Oh.
So that's a whole other element of this. Completely separate to are people playing it. Is the game active? Well, we have updates for Warhaven. They came out with a winter update. It's very exciting. They got some snowman outfits. So the deal with Omega Strikers is that it came out in April worldwide on Windows, Switch, iOS, and Android. May on Xboxes and PlayStations, all of them.
Oh.
And it's dead.
Oh, that's
Warhaven,
rough.
as far as I can tell, is only on PC and hasn't announced it's dead. I'm giving it to Omega Strikers. We now move to Bob.
I guess I have to vote for Omega Strikers. Unfortunately.
It is, in fact, a corpse.
Yeah, no, that was a dead or rival game.
Whereas Redfall, it got that hype 60 frames per second update, dude.
That's true. I'm also gonna show a vote on Warhaven. I'm sorry. No, that's not working out.
Okay.
We can pretend, but it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but at least it's not completely dead like Omega
Right?
Strikers. That's why it stole my vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Bob, your options for your third vote and final is the finals, Exoprimal, and Redfall.
I'm gonna go with Exoprimal. And I feel like, for me at least, like, Redfall is a different enough genre, so I don't think about it in the same way I do the rest of these, where it's like, no, you need online players to play. Redfall can potentially be played single player, so I don't think about it in the same way.
That's fair. Chris.
Omega Strikers.
I love that this new information has just changed everything.
Redfall. Warhaven.
Aggro.
Is there an echo in here? Omega Strikers, Redfall, and Warhaven.
Huh. Well, that currently gives it to Omega Strikers with a mistyped 5 votes. With an actual 4. Followed by Redfall and Warhaven with 3 votes each, and Exoprimal with 2. I'm going to go ahead and say we should do a tie split on Redfall and Warhaven. Honestly, I think Exoprimal should be above Redfall because there is the single player content. But I don't know if anyone else agrees with that notion.
See, I feel like it should be up there because of the single player content and the game that it might have been. before the multiplayer was decreed from up above, and it was shoved off of the track to roll down the hill in a blaze.
Okay. Then we'll just do a tie-splitting vote between Redfall and Warhaven. I'll go first. Warhaven. Bob.
Warhaven.
Chris.
Warhaven.
Aggro?
Protest vote for Redfall.
You just want to look different, don't you?
I really wish I didn't. I just want to be normal, Paul. Go to school with the other kids.
They're like, no, you are too tall and gingerly for this school. Our doors aren't big enough. Okay. Well, that I think that decides it then. The Dead on Arrival Online Game Award, sponsored by Hyenas and Babylon's Fall and Rumbleverse, goes to Omega Strikers. Second place is Warhaven. Third place is Redfall with runner-up Exoprimal.
Not a great year.
No. Okay, and last category, game that none of us played. The nominee are Hogwarts Legacy. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.